don't know if this is going on Facebook Live or not. Let's find out. Okay, I don't know where this has ended up. So, I'm quite new to the streaming business stuff. And earlier today, I was doing some reading out of the book that my wife bought called You Can't Send a Duck to Eagle School, and Other Simple Truths of Leadership by Mac Anderson. And for the purpose of the Facebook feed, which I do not know if it's really going to Facebook or if it's just doing YouTube or not. Let's find out. Anyways, I don't know what it's streaming to right now. So, yeah, I don't know. So, I'm just gonna continue reading a little bit. It's quite warm here in the basement, probably 70 something degrees out, or not out, probably 75 degrees down here. But I tell ya, I got a 2-liter here of this Mountain Dew, some nasty water with lime juice mixed in because people in my neighborhood had illegal cross connections between their pressurized irrigation and their culinary water systems. So I add the lime juice to my water to try and offset that taste. Moose piss from Warland, Wyoming, in the form of Mountain Dew. But I suppose I shall go ahead and continue where I left off with random commentary as I read. We can go like this. I don't know. Decisions. I left off with Change Your Thoughts and You Change Your World by Norman Vincent Peale. So I continue with, wisdom is knowing the right path to take, and integrity is taking it. The dictionary defines integrity as the quality of or state of being complete or undivided. Simply put, when you have integrity, your words and your deeds match up. John C. Maxwell says, integrity is not what we do so much as who we are. And who we are, in turn, determines what we do. Even Socrates reminds us the first key to greatness is to be in reality what we appear to be. Integrity is never easy, but most of all, it requires self-discipline, inner trust, and honesty at all times. The poem, Myself, by Edgar Guest, is on the next page. Keep it handy and read it often. It goes, myself, I have to live with myself, and so I want to be fit for myself to know. I want to be able, as days go by, always to look myself in the eye. I don't want to stand up with the setting sun and hate myself for things I've done. I don't want to keep a closet shelf. I don't want to keep on a closet shelf a lot of secrets about myself and fool myself as I come and go into thinking no one else will know. The great person I really am, I don't want to dress up myself a sham. I want to go out with my head erect. I want to deserve all men's respect. But here in the struggle for fame and health, I want to be able to like myself. I don't want to look at myself and know that I am a bluster and bluff, an empty show. I never can hide myself from me. I see what others may never see. I know what others may never know. I never can fool myself, and so, whatever happens, I want to be self-respecting and conscience-free. That again is by Edgar Guest. So I'm less inclined right now to read with alternate accents or to make myself a funny voice. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Let's add some slight background noise from GarageBand. I believe that will be royalty free. Probably not the greatest background noise, but maybe it'll help me relax and get some of these different lighting, some of the voices, or have fun reading. My eyes aren't working so great right now. So for those who may or may not know, I'm in the process of going blind. My ophthalmologist had thought that I have keratoconus, but after measuring the shape of my eye progressively for the last 3 years, it is his opinion that the steepness of the astigmatisms have stopped, so it's not likely keratoconus, because keratoconus gets progressively worse. But anyway, so right now I'm having a hard time seeing. Like, I'm sure you've seen an out of focus picture with the different astigmatisms between the eyes. I get blurs, and it's quite difficult to read. So over the last 2 decades, I've read progressively less. Anyways, back to this. Define your moment of truth. In 1982, Jan Carlson had just been named CEO of Scandinavian Airlines. His company was in trouble. They had just been ranked by a consumer poll as the worst, as the worst airline in the world. Last in service, last in dependability, last in profits as a percentage of sales, yet 1 year later in the same poll they were ranked number 1 in all 3 categories. What happened? Carlzon, that's with a Z, Carlzon, had decided to focus on what he thought was the most critical issue, serving the customer. He wanted to keep it simple, identify every contact between the customer and the employee, and treat the contact as a moment of truth. He set out to let his people know the importance of that moment, the captain, the ticket agent, the baggage handler, and the flight attendant. Every moment, every contact, he said, must be as pleasant and as memorable as possible. He figured that he had approximately 10 million customers each year, and on average, each customer made contact with made contact with 5 of his people for approximately 15 seconds apiece. Therefore, in his mind, these 50 million contacts, 15 seconds at a time, would determine the fate of his company. He set out to share his vision with his 20,000 employees. He knew the key was to empower the front line. Let them make the decision and take action, because they were Scandinavian Airlines. During those 15 seconds, he now had 20,000 people who were energized and ready to go because they were focused on the very important thing, making every moment count. A leader's job is to look into the future and see the organization not as it is, but as it should be, said Jack Welch. Feels like there's multiple pages stuck together. Anyways. In keeping with tradition, with every chapter, take a swig or so of fluid. So this chapter is called, actually before we go on to this chapter, let's turn back to the previous, where every moment counts and every interaction, what's it say? Every moment, every contact, it counts. Define your moment of truth. And let's think about that for a moment. So, as some of you may know, or maybe you don't, I have worked for an institution of higher education for the last decade. In my case, it has been Utah Valley University, hence the shirt. We've got quite a few around that are from the College of Technology and Computing. That's where I worked for the previous 9 years in various roles and capacities. The thing what I think set me apart the most, I'm going to move my phone away, move my old phone away. Anyways, one of the things that set me apart from the others on my team, as I see it, maybe my perspective is flawed, but I not only sought to complete my tasks that were assigned, so I was primarily responsible for the majority of computer labs and lab computers for the College of Technology and Computing, which later became the College of Engineering and Technology. And part of that involved working with faculty and department chairs to maintain a software library and an inventory of software, as well as the computers, and remind the faculty when it was time to renew their software, work with them. Basically get the lab computers ready to facilitate education. That's what I did. And I could have done that completely automated without any interactions with faculty or staff. But I tried to go out of my way to work with the faculty, the staff, the individuals, develop a personal relationship with them, and also see what things I could do to help them with their jobs. And in doing so, it opened up opportunities to automate processes as well as to increase the customer experience. I can't speak to what my coworkers did with their computer labs and their responsibilities and whether they reached out to students and asked their opinions or not. I can't speak to any of that, but I did. And I like to think that I incorporated some of their suggestions and found innovative ways to solve problems that they were dealing with, problems that maybe added a couple seconds to minutes each week to the different tasks they were doing for their homework and their assignments and learning objectives. But I like to think that did something. Anyway, this is me rambling to the point where I can't remember what I was talking about basically making every moment and every contact count. I guess this goes with the previous chapter about having integrity to take the right path. So there are people that I have worked with of whom reinforce the idea that people working in IT only play games. That's a difficult misconception to get over. And where I'm at now, the majority of faculty and their experiences are from maybe 5 years ago, where their IT team for their department really did just sit and play games and ignore faculty requests. And where I'm at now, there's quite a few requests that I get. My job as a service desk manager is to sort their cases and get the task assigned to our support techs in the office. And I'm still going in, fire hose mentality, trying to learn their processes. Maybe in the future video, I will bring up the ClickUp software. Obviously not live data for the organization I'm presently employed with. Just to do a little bit of an intro and walkthrough and how that software would allow a leader to look into the future and see an organization as it should be. My director has a vision for the department, and a vision that includes improving every contact with our customers. And in our case, our customers are undergraduate students, graduate students, I don't know the term, for students who are pursuing a doctorate degree in physics, a PhD, or physics education, or our customers are also faculty and staff, and I don't know, lots of different things. I don't know what things will be. I took a 1-year temporary funded position to try and turn things around, and I hope to be successful in that. Hence, I'm reading books on leadership and practicing reading aloud. So this next section is called, I don't remember if I read this or not. Touching my face. Not supposed to be touching my face during this COVID, but I've primarily been home. I did go to Costco earlier. Didn't make it to the pharmacy in time. I was a couple minutes late and they had already closed. I'll pick up my prescriptions another day. Anyways, let's try an accent. To build a customer first culture, you must put them second. Your employees must come first, because there is a rule of thumb in business that says your people will only treat your customers as well as they are being treated. Thus, to have satisfied customers, they must be served by passionate people. Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, is one of my favorite leaders. His book, Pour Your Heart Into It, is excellent. In it, he offers in great detail all of the obstacles he overcame in turning his vision into reality. Early on, Schultz realized that the key to his success was to recruit well-educated people who were eager to communicate his passion for coffee. This, he felt, would be his competitive advantage in an industry where turnover was 300% a year to hire the best people. He also knew he must be willing to pay them more than the going wage and offer health benefits that weren't available elsewhere. He saw that part-time people made up 2/3 of his employee base, and no one in the restaurant industry offered benefits to part-timers. Schultz went to work in an effort to sell his board of directors on increasing expenses while most restaurant executives in the 1980s were looking for ways to cut costs. Initially, Schultz's pleas to investors and the board fell on deaf ears because Starbucks was still losing money. But Schultz was persistent. He was looking long term, and was committed to growing the business with passionate people. He won and said many times afterward that this decision was one of the most important decisions, if not the most important, that he made at Starbucks. I need to pause because for whatever reason, my sinuses are dripping into my throat. Cheers. Let's find out if my voice changed after that. Now, where were we? I'll pick a place and keep reading from there. He won and said many times afterward that this decision was one of the most important decisions, if not the most important, that he had ever made at Starbucks. His employee retention rate was about 5 times the industry average, but more importantly, he attracted people with great attitudes who made their customers feel welcome and at home. Over the years, Schultz often showed how much he cared for his people. Early on the 7th of July in 1997, he and his family were asleep at home in East Hampton, New York. The phone rang, and he learned that 3 Starbucks employees had been murdered in a botched robbery in Washington, D.C. Stunned, Schultz immediately chartered a plane and arrived there before 9 that morning. He stayed for a week, working with the police, meeting with the victims' families, and attending funerals. He ultimately decided that future profits of the store would go to organizations working for violence prevention and victims' rights. Howard Schultz gets it. A common quote from the Starbucks team tells it all. We aren't in the coffee business, serving people. We're in the people business, serving coffee. Interesting. I've got quite a bit of drippage going into my throat. Maybe it's time to bring back Golem, Dobby, whatever. See what that drains. Join the dark side, they say. We have respirators. This chapter is entitled Expect to Win. I guess this isn't Dobby, and it sure ain't Golem. But let's see how long this pinched nose sound goes. Pinched nose, pinched nose, pinched nose. Not quite the same, but let's give it a whirl. Talking more out of my nose. One of my favorite things to do at work is to read letters or emails from customers who share their stories about how our products have made a positive difference in their lives or in their business. I feel it makes me feel great. One day, I got a letter from a Mr. Mark Wilkinson, an executive for a major insurance company. One of our gift books inspired Mark to tell a story about something his dad told him when he was a child, and that shaped his life. I'm sharing it with you because I think it's wonderful advice for any leader. Mark was growing up. No, take that back. When Mark was growing up, He loved baseball, and his dad was the coach of his little league baseball team. He remembered his dad saying repeatedly, "Prepare for each play and know what to do with the baseball if it is hit you. I want all of you to want the ball to be hit to you. Not hit to the outfield, or you don't have to do anything for the game." But anyway, let's leave it back to how it's written here in this here book. His dad said, "Look over your options. Decide what you will do. Take a deep breath and let it out. Raise up on your toes and be ready to say to yourself, 'Hit the ball to me.' Then, if you make the play, be humble. If you make an error, put it behind you and keep doing the same thing on every pitch." At the end of Mark's letter, he wrote, "Mr. Anderson, I want to share a poem with you that I wrote when my dad died in the year 1988. This poem certainly inspired me, and with Mark's permission, I'm honored to share it with you. I do not have Mark's permission to be reading this on the interwebs, but I'm reading this here book. I should show it this way because camera's over here and I'm looking at that monitor over there where my picture, my representation is showing up in every little word that I say me, that little microphone bar go woo. Anyways, back to this here poem and this weird nose accent smell thing, whatever I'm talking. And it reads, "Thanks, Dad, a tribute." Let's try this on the other side, eh? Nope. When our team is in the field and the other at the plate, the last half inning to be played, one play will seal our fate. Bases are loaded, there are 2 outs on the board. We fought to get this far. The pressure's high, adrenaline flowing. A record could be marred. We're ahead by just 1 run. It's very close, you see. This is the point where most folks say, 'Don't hit the ball to me.'" Encouraged, I taught to encouraged and taught to trust myself with confidence by Dad. In opportunity, there's no losing, just lessons to be had. So I take a breath and ask myself, what if it does come this way? And I make a decision and smile and say, "Hit the ball to me. I can make the play." That is life in the world today. Outside the old ballpark, for the lasting help and faith each play. Thanks, Dad. Love, Mark. In memory of Ernest Jefferson Wilkerson. He was born on the 7th of July in the year 1929, and he died on the 9th of August, 1988. I can't do math in my head very well, but by golly, that's what, 50, 59 years about? But I don't know. I don't know how you guys like this here voice. It's primarily on this side of my nose. That's kind of how it curls, and I don't know if I like talking out my nose. But it sure sounds better than this. Oh, this ZYHWVUKSRQPO. And the chapter drinks fluid. Quality is the mother, ... We don't mess with Mom. We embraced this quality model early on at Accessories, and I was greatly influenced by my creative partner and friend Michael McKay. Our paper stock, our color separations, our frames, even our shape and cottons were of the highest quality. It was one of our core values. I recall an incident in the year 1988 when we were about 5 million in sales. Cash was tight, and we were watching every penny. Michael brought a copy of a new print into my office. It had just come off the press, and we were congratulating each other. My assistant walked in and pointed to an apostrophe in the quote at the bottom of the print. It should have come before the S instead of behind it. Michael and I sat there stunned, because to reprint it would cost approximately $5,000, which we didn't have at the time. Although we both knew that 999 people out of 1,000 wouldn't notice misplaced apostrophe. Our commitment and quality gave us only one choice: destroy the prints and start over. It was a gut-wrenching feeling and a decision given our financial situation, but it was the right one. It left no doubt with our team that we were willing to walk the talk when it came to quality. Here's a quote from William A. Foster.
Quality is never an accident. It is always a result of high intention, secure, sincere effort, intelligent direction, and skillful execution. It represents the last trust and many alternatives.
That's the end of another chapter. Let's mix this up. Know the power of one page. This is something I probably would relate to a resume. I've been told that a resume should be 1 to 2 pages. Mine is presently over 6 pages long, and it includes my work experience, my work history. Let's see, what else do I have? Maybe I should look and see what my resume has. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Let's go ahead and have a look. This will be my files. Documents. I do not see my latest resume. Oh well. Let's pull this one from 2017. It begins with an objective statement. And at the time, I wrote, I look forward to furthering my career at Utah Valley University and have demonstrated my knowledge, skills, and abilities as an IT Systems Specialist 3 in the College of Technology and Computing. When I became an area technician, I continued to manage and maintain many of the previously assigned systems. I welcomed the opportunity to advance my career and support the College of Technology and Computing. My employment consisted of Utah Valley University Technician Level 3 from July 2015 until present at that time. Then it had Utah Valley University IT Systems Specialist 3 from July 2012 to July 2015. Then it had Linden City, a GIS planning intern from April 2012 until September 2012. Then it had So that was in conjunction with other jobs that I had at Utah Valley University. That was volunteer time. It was good. The software they used was a couple years old, and I won't go into the specifics right now. The next employment entry is Utah Valley University Support Technician number 3 or level 3. Prior to that was a student position, lab title or lab monitor title and system specialist duties. Before that, I was a support technician level 3. Oh, I left off dates here. Let's go back. So, Leaded City GIS planning intern April 2012 to September 2012. Support Technician 3 at Utah Valley University from January 2012 until July 2012. The student position lab monitor title while system specialist duties was August of 2011 until January of 2012. Before that was Support Technician 3 from April 2010 to June 2011. Before that was Teleperformance USA, the Dale Small and Medium Business Project, and that went from the 5th. No, sorry, take that back. That went from May of 2008 until May of 2009, when the project was moved by Teleperformance USA to the Manila, Philippines. Prior to that, I worked for the Teleperformance USA Dell project for their XPS product line, and that was from January of 2008 until May of 2008, where my performance earned me a place on the small and medium business line. Prior to that, I worked for Siegel Book and Tape as a warehouse assistant, and that was from August 2007 until November 2007. Prior to that, I worked for a company called Bent Nail Design as a cabinet maker, and that was from December 2005 until February 2006. Prior to that, I worked as a IT consultant for a friend's company, Meditech Solutions. Basically, I provided supplemental support with installing network and security infrastructure, troubleshooting hardware and software, and mainly used my height to an advantage there. And that again was from December 2005 until December of 2008. Granted, there was a break between that time. Before that, I worked for Bunkers Yard Service from May 2004 until December of 2005. And I did some IT consulting from August 2002 until May of 2004. I have a section for education which lists my bachelor's degree in earth science with an emphasis in environmental management, and lists my associate degree in general studies, I believe, as well as a certificate in cabinetry and architectural woodworking that I received in high school as concurrent enrollment credit. I also did other classes in high school. The next section says special training, education, and skills. It lists the different organizations and clubs I was a part of, as well as my awards. It lists business training and technical training and experience, and then it lists a section called recent undergraduate research grants I participated in, and publications that are peer reviewed, and publications that I worked on that are not peer reviewed, and then a list of the professional organizations I'm a member of. And that is 5 pages. So the reason I brought that up is to know the power of 1 page. People say that I should be able to condense all of those experience That's not even all of them. So I joined the Army out of high school and did various things. Most notably, I was a human resource specialist. And I should turn off my garage band. If I can get out of it. That did it. Okay. So let's go back to what they mean by know the power of one page. As you can tell, I tend to ramble a lot. So know the power of one page. Joe Calhoun and Bruce Jeffrey are consultants who specialize in helping companies create a simple one-page strategic plan. I love the idea because there's something magic about one page. Here are 6 key elements of the plan. Vision, a clear picture of your destination mission, the driving purpose of your business, values, the guide you use for decision making, and how you treat one another. Objectives, the numbers you track, strategies, the paths you've decided to take, priorities, the work that needs to get done, and who needs to do it. According to Calhoun and Jeffrey, they've never seen a business plan that was too short. But they have seen hundreds that would make an acceptable cure for insomnia. They also said that once the management team understands the process, they have never encountered a company that couldn't fit their plan on one page. Does it take a little more time to drill down? Sure it does. But it's well worth it because it forces you to cut out a lot of verbiage and make decisions on what matters most or what's most important. I love Blaise Pascal's quote, "I have made this longer than usual because I have not had the time to make it shorter." Take the time. You and your team will be glad you did. Focus on the critical few and not the insignificant many. That there is another quote by that famous person that's involved in, they must be a genius, named Anonymous. Anonymous. Let's see, those are Guy Fawkes masks. Vigilance. Anyways, I need to take a break and reposition in this chair. Maybe even switch out the other chair because this chair is hurting my rump. Musical chairs. And again, this is Big Z, Dan, Digital Abyss, whatever it might be, whatever I might be, reading part 2 or continuing to read. You can't send a duck to Eagle School, and other simple truths about leadership by Mac Anderson. Even eagles need a push. Wow, this is italicized. This way, there. The eagle gently The eagle gently coaxed her offspring towards the edge of her nest. Down below, you could see the canyons, the fiery peaks, the squirrels, the chipmunks, the wolves, the coyotes, and those who would eat a baby eagle who could not fly. Down below, you could see, with her heart quivering with conflicting emotions as she felt their resistance to her persistent nudging. Why does the thrill of soaring have to begin with the fear of falling, she thought. This ageless question remained unanswered for her, as in the tradition of her species, her nest was located on the shelf of a sheer rock face. Below, we mentioned those various animals waiting to eat a abandoned eagle. Below, there is nothing but air to support the wings of each baby eagle. Is it possible that this time will not work? She thought despite her fears, the eagle knew it was time. Her parental mission was all but complete. There remained one final task, to push. The eagle drew courage from an innate wisdom until her children discovered their wings. They plummet to the earth. Plop! That's the end of that one. Survival of the fittest, she thought. Survival of the fittest. George was not strong enough. He shall be devoured by the rabid chipmunks below. No purpose for their lives until they learned how to soar. They would fail to understand the privilege it was to have been born an eagle, to push what was the greatest gift she had to offer. It was her supreme act of love, and so, one by one, she pushed them out to their potential death. She pushed them out, and they flew. My friend David McNally wrote these words in his book, Even Eagles Need a Push. It's human nature to take the path of least resistance. On that thought, that's kind of why I wanted to stay with my previous job, even though I was offered a... Let's go into that for a moment. So I worked as an area technician for the College of Technology and Computing, which became the College of Engineering and Technology. I supported about 8 different departments, hundreds of computers, group policies, Active Directory objects, different things. But realistically, because I was proactive and was monitoring my labs and had processes of automation running, I knew, or I generally knew about issues before they were brought up, before they became a work order even. In many respects, I was quite efficient with my job. I could do most of my job in about 4 months out of the year. That's leading up to the start of fall semester. That's kind of hectic. Swapping out new computers, inventorying them, building customized operating system images and deployment packages to deploy software via Software Center Configuration Manager and other tools and so forth. And then the primary part between getting the labs ready for a semester and throughout the semester was trying to anticipate problems that might come up and using my time to integrate and innovate is what I meant to say instead of integrate. Innovate solutions to solve problems and maximize my time. But primarily, I would go to work and I'd spend maybe 2 hours doing actual work and the rest in what would be categorized by the Fair Labor Standards Act as waiting time. Staying at UVU was, in many ways, something that I wish I would have done. So I was offered a position that paid approximately 174% of my job at my public university. The difference being this job was a temporary 1-year position in which I would be able to develop myself as a leader and add experience to my resume and career portfolio as a leader. So this position is a service desk manager / systems engineer, and it represented a challenge. And the challenge, okay, how do I say this without sounding like an idiot? I don't know, because I think out loud. I think verbally. I think as I talk. I can't think of this when I'm sitting still and quiet. My brain wanders. And even as I talk, my brain wanders. But basically, the safe bet would have been to stay at the job that I knew that I was good at. And with this coronavirus pandemic going on, I had the ability to work primarily remotely and on campus to get the task I couldn't do remotely done in person. The pay was about $50,000. It's part of the Utah Retirement Systems program, a pension system. And I don't think I will get another job like that in the future. But taking this job, part of the reason I did it, and if the job that I accepted was a permanent position, I would not have any regrets or concerns. But I approached my director and let him know that I was thinking about accepting it if it was offered. And just as a heads up that, so preface this, we're expecting a child in December. It'll be our first. My wife she teaches high school, and she went to half-time, which is about half salary, no benefits. And I was hoping to be able to get, as a counter offer, either a $6,000 raise or any raise for the work responsibilities to be balanced. We have 3 area technicians within our college, and I have the departments that nobody wants because they have challenging software, and it's kind of imbalanced. One person has one real department, the other has 2 departments plus all of the VMs, and then myself with the remaining 8 academic departments and the computer labs for those departments. We also have a full-time area technician that does faculty and staff support for every department and staff of our college. But anyways, where am I going with this? The safe bet would have been to just stay at that job. Now, I'm worried that come the end of this 1-year temporary position, I don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of like a stepping into the dark act in faith that I'll figure out what I'm supposed to be doing for my career. If it's not IT. But basically, if I'd have stayed, it would have been nice. I have some underlying health conditions that are quite alarming. And I kind of wish I'd have stayed. I was given an opportunity to rescind my resignation and quit the job I had just started, but I didn't take it. Anyways, I'm rambling. I don't know where I left off. So let's just continue on here. My friend David McNally wrote these words in his book, Even Eagles Need a Push. It's human nature to take the path of least resistance. Although most people truly want to reach their full potential, they don't always have the initiative and the discipline to get started on their own. One of your greatest responsibilities as a leader is to enable your people to be all that they can be. Many times, the push with a little encouragement is all they need. In my case, I was leaning towards staying at U of U, even though I talked with my director when I had an offer, and he said that his expectation was that if he said no to my request for a retention offer, the expectation is that I take the new job. So that basically was a bit of a nudge to get rid of me, or to push me into a direction to grow. Anyways, opportunities to grow and learn. Without that, I wouldn't be reading this book. Many times, a push with a little encouragement is all they need. Always look for opportunities to challenge your best people, because many of them are just sticks of dynamite. The power is on the inside, but nothing happens until the fuse gets lit. You never know when a moment no you never know when a moment and a few sincere words can have an impact on a life. That's by Zig Ziglar. I always figured with those quotes for Zig Ziglar and those memes on the Facebook and interwebs or the digital abyss were just random things. But anyways, I tend to ramble a lot. I hope this job turns out that I learn new things and that it becomes a catalyst for a career in IT service management or something else. I could use the tuition benefit, assuming I had the scores to apply for grad school there. The tuition benefit covers me for master's degree or beyond. I don't know what's going to happen in August 2021 when this job ends. I would like to be able to go back to Utah Valley University and apply the new knowledge, skills, and abilities that I will be developing, as well as the ones I already have. But I don't know what'll happen. Maybe I won't make it. Maybe I'll catch COVID before then. I don't know. This one is entitled Burn Brightly Without Burning Out. Drink some water. Jim Cathart. No, wrong word. That's not how it is. Jim Cathcart is a friend and a great speaker. To manage your energy, Jim feels you need to find the pace at which you perform best. This is the zone in which you are most creative, unstressed, happy, and productive. He defines the zone as follows. Above the zone, first you experience stress and frustration, then anxiety, and finally burnout. This is the level you are overwhelming yourself with too many things to accomplish at one time. Lighten it up a bit and get back on track. In the zone, you are at your best, not stressed, going with the flow of work, naturally productive and self-assured, challenged but not overwhelmed, motivated and able to roll with the problems. Below the zone, first you experience boredom, then apathy, and finally depression. You feel useless and artificial. Self-esteem suffers. Bite off more and take greater challenges to get back on track. Protecting and replenishing your emotional energy is critical for every leader. Kira Kirschenbaum, in her book Emotional Energy Factor, offers some suggestions that are easy to implement. First, you plug the leaks. You learn to recognize what drains your energy. Life situations, toxic people, or habits of mind like worry, guilt, indecision, and envy. I have a hard time with indecision. I'm like a fat kid going to a candy store every time I go to the store trying to make a decision on something. I look at things and I can taste it in my mouth. Trying to make a decision, what's going to give me the most satisfaction? And then after I make a decision, regretting the decision, letting the thought of what if something else, what if the cinnamon candy would have been better than the Baby Ruth? What if the caramel tasted like black licorice? I don't know, the possibilities are endless. Anyways, back to the reading. And Learn to recognize what drains your energy. Life situations, toxic people, or habits, like habits of mine like worry, guilt, indecision, and envy, and take steps to minimize them. Second, you identify what fills your tank: pleasure, prayer, novelty, anticipation, fun, and give yourself more. Things which matter most must never be at the mercy of which things which matter least. From Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. This is probably super boring for you guys. I'm sorry. End of the chapter. Drink some fluid. Well, that ain't gonna work. Hey, yo. Turn up the phonometer. In his book, Rock Solid Leadership, Robin Crow writes about visiting his sister Laura, who worked for Southwest Airlines. He wrote, "When we entered the building, which was the home of over 3,000 employees, I noticed over the elevation sketched in glass was the Southwest Airlines mission statement. The mission of Southwest Airlines is dedication to the highest quality of customer service delivered with the sense of warmth, friendliness, individual pride, and company spirit." Nothing too unusual about that, except the fact it didn't even mention planes. Then, as I walked off the elevator onto the second floor, I was overwhelmed with the endless hallways, which were filled with thousands of pictures. I wish you could have been there. There were photos of employees at charity ball games, Christmas parties, and company picnics. There were letters from celebrities and business competitors. There were articles and clippings about Southwest, as well as posters and brochures from the early days when the airline was just getting started. According to Robin, here's the story. When Southwest Airlines built their headquarters, they decided to fill their walls with photos and memorabilia. President Colleen Barrett, known as the heart of the company, began the tradition of asking employees to submit their own mementos to represent their personal lives and their experiences at Southwest. The result is basically an enormous company scrapbook. I saw a cheerleading uniform, an old flight attendant uniform, and my favorite, a crushed tuba. Although it did make me think twice about checking my guitar as luggage, all matted and framed behind glass. Each picture is a piece of what makes Southwest Airlines one of the most extraordinary companies in the world. These halls went on seemingly forever. Imagine, it's a 5-story building, and these photos are on every level, floor to ceiling. There was one hallway completely devoted to photos of employees and their pets. It was like the Smithsonian of employee appreciation. But as I started looking more closely at the photos, I noticed most of them included at least one picture with Herb Kelcher, the CEO, hanging out with that employee at a staff picnic or other celebration, always laughing and having a great time. You know what I should do right here while I'm reading this? I should cover my right eye with like an eye patch or something and try and strengthen my left eye. I don't think I still have an eye patch, but let's see what I got. Xeon processor, a spoon. I'm gonna be bad and get some peanut M&M. I'm fairly certain I did my immunotherapy for peanuts. Supposed to expose myself to some peanut every day just because I'm trying to build up a resistance. Hope my face will be bad. I don't see anything covered my eye with, so I'll try to close that. Where were we? It became obvious to me that Herb's enthusiasm and spirit of celebration is at the core of what Southwest stands for as a company. And let me tell you, at Southwest, they know how to celebrate. They know the importance of having fun at work. Laura says it's not uncommon to see a spontaneous parade marching through headquarters and in the middle of a busy workday, or to see a department playing a game of hacky sack in the hallway, or testing out their long jump skills. As all this was sinking in, I began to understand why Southwest's mission statement focused on customer service, individual pride, and company spirit over talking about airplanes. Southwest Airlines is all about people serving people. The result, while some of America's mammoth airlines are filing bankruptcy, Southwest is thriving in the black. In fact, they have celebrated 42 consecutive years of profitability. So one more time, turn up your funometer. Having fun with your team creates a magical bond like nothing else you can do. Here's a quote by Dale Carnegie while I have a peanut in my mouth. People rarely succeed unless they have fun in what they are doing. So this next chapter is called One Thing That Changes Everything. There's one thing that is common to every individual, team, family, organization, nation, economy, and civilization throughout the world. One thing which, if removed, will destroy the most powerful government, the most successful business, the most thriving economy, the most influential leadership, the greatest friendship, and the strongest character, the deepest love. On the other hand, if developed and leveraged, that one thing has the potential to create unparalleled success and prosperity in every dimension of life. Yet, it is the least understood, most neglected, and most underestimated possibility of our time. That one thing is trust. That one thing is trust. ... Contrary to what most people believe, trust is not some soft, elusive quality that you either have or you don't. Rather, true trust is pragmatic, tangible, actionable asset. What is a pragmatic, tangible, actionable asset that you can create much faster than you probably think possible? Maybe eating those peanut M&Ms was a bad idea. While corporate scandals, terrorist threats, office politics, and broken relationships have created low trust on every front, I contend that the ability to establish, grow, extend, and restore trust is not only vital to our personal and interpersonal well-being, it is the key leadership competency of the new global economy. I am also convinced that in every situation, nothing is as fast as the speed of trust. And contrary to popular belief, contrary to popular belief, trust is something you can do something about. In fact, you can get good at creating it. These words were written by Stephen M. R. Covey in the introduction of his book, The Speed of Trust. Like the air we breathe, we too often take this critical intangible for granted. I urge you to read Covey's book. It helps every leader to truly understand how trust is the foundation for any true and lasting success. Here's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Hey, I just found Waldo. Trust men, and they will be true to you. Treat them greatly, and they will show themselves great. This is the end of another chapter. Let's take a Anyways, know the power of humility. I lived in Chicago for many years, and as you might expect, I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan. A few years ago, I got to watch one man emerge as the leader of the team. His name, I'm going to slaughter this one, is called Brian Urlacher. No question, Urlacher was a very talented football player. He had 8 Pro Bowl seasons in his 13-year NFL career. I think that's National Football League career. But if you're a football fan, you know there's a lot of very talented football players who never become the unquestioned leader of the team. Why is that? Obviously, there are many reasons a leader can emerge from the pack, but in Urlacher's case, it was his humility and his passion for the game. I must say, for a superstar athlete, his humility was beyond refreshing. He never talked about himself, his achievement, his statistics, but he was always the first to praise and defend his teammates and his coaches. When asked how he wanted to be remembered, he said, "Number one, I want to be remembered as a great teammate, as a guy who played hard and loved football." When asked about his success in the NFL, he said, "I think I've adjusted pretty well, thanks to good coaches and great teammates. I won't say that I'm lucky, but just fortunate, I guess. I'm very blessed." So many times, the difference in a good leader versus a great leader is one word: humility. A great leader is never afraid to poke fun at himself and always the first to give all the credit to others. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking a lot of yourself. By Rick Warren. Hey, that's another chapter down. I like this. I'm reading a lot of chapters super fast. Anyways, if you chase 2 rabbits, both will escape. That's the name of this, or title of this chapter. At Successories in 1997, I learned about the power of focus the hard way. I didn't focus, I paid the price. Golf was a hot sport because Tiger Woods had just come on the scene. We decided to purchase a small catalog company called British Links, a leader in golf art and golf gifts. The logic was simple. We understood the specialty catalog business and were already mailing 20 million catalogs a year. We understood the wall decor framing business. Accessories had become one of the largest framers in the country, and half of British Link sales were from framed wall decor. I won't bore you with the details of why this venture flopped, but within 3 years we sold the golf company for next to nothing. However, the most devastating part of the deal was not the money we lost from the sale of British Links, but the momentum we had lost growing Accessories, our core business. In hindsight, I was an idiot. It was like Ray Kroc saying having opened 20 McDonald's It's time to get into the pizza business. Many other businesses like Starbucks and FedEx focused their way to success. Repeat after me. Less is more. Less is more. And then Jim Collins has this quote attributed to him. In business, real discipline comes in saying no to the wrong opportunities. In some respects, maybe I should have said no to the opportunity for that service desk manager position. I don't know. This next section is called Communicate, Communicate, and
Communicate.
In her book, The Truth About Being a Leader, Dr. Karen Otazo said there are 3 keys to effective communication. The first is, what's happening? Share as much as you can about the company's goals, the current product, and current projects, especially any good news, but also be proactive if things aren't going as planned. Part 2, what's coming up? It's a bit like coming attractions. Your team is always interested in what's new. 3, how they are doing. This one is critical. Look for opportunities, private and public, to say good things or to talk about how they could do better. Most people want to know what they're doing but are afraid to ask. It is very important to visit and connect with team members personally. The great leader truly understands that effective communication is the key that unlocks the door to trust. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. That is written by George Bernard Shaw. This next section luck is partly the residue of design. Best-selling author Harry Beckwith told me the following about luck. For years in our work, we have preached the value of velocity. Successful companies succeed because they move, just as the individuals within them move too. At first, these companies and these people seem lucky. So often, they are in the right place at the right time. But they weren't in one place. They were in several places, and one turned out to be right. They realized that luck was out there, and the key was getting into its path. Not certain which path the luck might be on, these people chose several, and luck collided with them. Let's try without glasses. For many years, Darrell Royal was the football coach for the University of Texas at Austin. They always had great teams and winning records. Sometimes, however, when they won a close game, a sports writer would suggest that the Longhorns were skilled. They had been lucky on that day. Hearing it one time too often, Coach Royal finally said, luck is partly the residue of design. The simple act of being prepared for luck when it arrives. And there's something else to luck, Royal said. Luck follows speed. Move, and luck finds you. Move quickly, and it finds you more often. Well, this is the end of another chapter with a quote. It's tempting to sit and wait for your life to come to you, but it can't. It's too busy. Life is out there. You have to go for it. This section is called Patience is Bitter, but the Fruit Can Be Sweet. Leo Tolstoy said, "The two most powerful warriors are patience and time." If I had to read that quote 25 years ago, it would have meant little to me. But today, I have a few business battle scars that easily could have been avoided had I listened to what Tolstoy said. Some years ago, I had a speaking engagement in Hawaii. I arrived about midnight, and the driver met me at the airport to take me to my hotel. He was a young man with a real passion for life. On the way to the hotel, he shared his love for surfing. I asked him if it was dangerous, and he said, "Very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing." He said that many people drown when a large wave takes them under, and instincts tell them to fight to get back to the surface. The key, he said, is to do just the opposite. Let your body go limp, and the currents will bring you to the surface. As a leader, there are times to act, and there are times to wait for the right answers to surface. Remember the quote from the very wise man Benjamin Franklin. He that can have patience can have what he wants. Patience is the best remedy for every trouble, says Plautus. Take one down, pass it around, soon this water will be done. And I'll have to drink. Know the magic of pulling together. Ever feel like you can't breathe out? Like you have air, but you can't breathe out? That's how I suddenly feel. That's weird. Anyways, let's get back to this. Know the magic of pulling together. Not long ago, a friend sent me the story of old Warwick. It brought a smile to my face, and I think it shares a wonderful lesson for every leader to learn. A man was lost while driving through the country. As he tried to reach for the map, he accidentally drove off the road into a ditch. Though he wasn't injured, his car was stuck deep in the mud, so the man walked to a nearby farm to ask for help. "Warwick can get you out of that ditch," said the farmer, pointing to an old mule standing in a field. The man looked at the decrepit old mule, looked at the farmer, who stood there repeating, "Yep, old Warwick can do the job." The man figured he had nothing to lose. The two men and the mule made their way back to the ditch. The farmer hitched the mule to the car. With a snap of the reins, he shouted, "Pull, Fred. Pull, Fred. Pull, Jack. Pull, Ted. Pull, Warwick." And the mule pulled that car right out of the ditch. The man was amazed. He thanked the farmer, patted the mule, and asked, "Why did you call out all those other names before you called Warwick?" The farmer grinned and said, "Old Warwick is just about blind. As long as he believes he's part of a team, he doesn't mind pulling." That is adapted from Some Folks Feel the Rain, Others Just Get Wet by James W. Moore. Teamwork. Teamwork is the ability to work together towards a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishment towards organization objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. Written by Andrew Carnegie. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream.